Thomas Mercer, a billionaire real estate mogul known more for his cold heart than his warm smile, stood sweating beside his cherry-red 1967 Mustang. The car, like everything in his life lately, had chosen the worst possible time to fall apart. He was stuck on the edge of a worn-down neighborhood, one he hadn't stepped foot in for over 2 decades. His GPS had taken him on a shortcut, but it ended up leading him straight into trouble. Now, with steam puffing from the hood and no mechanic in sight, he was growing restless. That's when he saw her. She couldn't have been more than 10 years old. Dark curls bouncing around her face, hands greasy, wearing overalls 3 sizes too big. She walked up with the kind of confidence you don't expect from a kid. "You need help?" she asked, squinting up at him like he was the one who didn't belong there. Thomas looked down, startled. "Where's your father? Or a real mechanic?" The girl didn't flinch. "My dad's dead. But I fix cars. Name's Maya." Thomas raised a brow. "You fix cars?" She smirked. "Better than most grown-ups. You want to get back on the road or stand here and roast like a Thanksgiving turkey?" He almost laughed. Almost. Something about her attitude reminded him of someone. Against his better judgment, he popped the hood. Maya jumped right in. As she worked, Thomas watched her, fascinated. Her hands moved with the rhythm of someone who'd done this 100 times. And despite the dirt and sweat, she hummed as she worked, softly, like the world hadn't given her reasons to stop singing. "How do you know so much about engines?" he asked after a while. She shrugged. "My mom ran a garage before. Well, before it closed. She taught me everything. We don't have much, but we fix things. People bring us junk, we give it back breathing." He nodded slowly. Her words landed heavier than she probably meant them to. Just then, she reached for something in her pocket, and a small ring slipped from her finger. Gold, worn, engraved with initials, TMJ. Thomas froze. "Where did you get that ring?" he asked sharply. Maya looked up, confused. "This? It was my mom's. Said my dad gave it to her before he left." His heart nearly stopped. TMJ. Thomas Mercer, Jr. It was a ring he had made at 18. A promise to the girl he loved, Janelle. But Janelle disappeared. Her family had moved away suddenly. He tried to find her for years but eventually gave up. Life moved on. Money replaced love. Business replaced dreams. Now here was this girl, with his eyes, his fire, his ring. Thomas backed away, a storm building in his chest. "What's your mother's name?" "Maya Johnson." "Same as mine," she said, still confused. He knew. Right then he knew. The world spun. "Where is she now?" Maya hesitated. "She died last year. Cancer. Said my dad might still be out there, but I don't know his name. She didn't want me chasing ghosts." Thomas sat down on the curb, suddenly feeling like a man who had been running all his life, only to find the finish line in a child's eyes. "My name is Thomas Mercer," he said quietly. "And I think I'm your father." The wrench clattered from Maya's hand. Silence. Then tears. Not loud, messy ones. Just the quiet kind that fall when you don't know what to say, but your heart recognizes the truth before your brain can catch up. She stepped forward. He opened his arms. And on that sun-beaten sidewalk, surrounded by broken dreams and engine grease, something mended itself. They sat together for a long time, Thomas and Maya, father and daughter. 2 strangers just hours ago, now tied together by a story neither of them had asked for but both had longed to finish. Thomas couldn't stop staring at her. Every little movement, every word, reminded him of Janelle. He had spent years chasing wealth, building towers, and losing sleep over board meetings. But in one afternoon, this tiny girl with oil under her nails and grief in her eyes had reminded him what it meant to feel something real. When she finally spoke again, her voice was soft. "You really think you're my dad?" He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "I loved your mother, Maya. She was my first love. We were just kids. I never knew she was pregnant. I would have been there if I had known. I swear to you." Maya looked down at the ring on her finger. She never said much. Just that my dad was brave and smart and someone who could have changed the world. Thomas choked on his breath. "She said that?" She nodded. "Yeah. But she also said not everyone gets to live their dreams. Some people have to make hard choices. She worked 3 jobs after the garage closed. She gave up everything for me." He felt it then, not guilt exactly, but a deep, aching regret. Not just for missing out on her childhood, but for the kind of life Janelle had to live without him. He had all the resources in the world, and yet the people who needed him most were left behind. "I want to make things right," he said. "Not just with you, but with your mother's memory too." Maya tilted her head. "How?" He stood up, brushing the dust from his pants, and looked out over the crumbling street, the same one he'd once turned his back on. "First, you're coming home with me. Not just to visit. If you'll let me, I want to be your father, officially. Legally." Maya hesitated, the weight of the offer settling in. "What about my mom's garage? It's all I have left of her." Thomas smiled, a new kind of fire in his chest. "We're going to rebuild it. Bigger. Better. Not just a garage, a community space. Free classes, jobs for teens, safe space for girls who want to learn trades. All in her name. The Janelle Johnson Foundation." Maya's eyes widened. "You'd do that? I owe her that much. And I owe you a future," he said. "One where you never have to prove your worth to anyone again." She looked up at him, searching for the catch. But for the first time in her young life, someone was offering her the world with no strings attached. Only love, and a promise that she didn't have to survive alone anymore. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's do it." 6 months later. The ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Janelle Johnson Auto Academy was more than just an event. It was a turning point. News crews came to cover the story of the billionaire who found his long-lost daughter in the most unexpected way. But the real story wasn't about money. It was about legacy, about second chances, and about what happens when a man finally listens to his heart. Maya stood proudly in front of the crowd, wearing a brand-new pair of overalls, this time custom-made and stitched with her initials. She gave a short speech, nothing fancy, just a few honest words. "My mom taught me how to fix engines. But meeting my dad taught me how to fix things I didn't even know were broken." The crowd clapped, but Thomas had tears in his eyes. Later that night, after the celebration, the two of them sat on the hood of the newly restored 1967 Mustang, now with a fresh paint job and a plaque on the dashboard that read, "For Janelle, the heart behind every engine." "You know," Maya said, gazing up at the stars, "this car's not bad, but it still needs a little tuning." Thomas laughed. "You're the boss now, grease monkey." She nudged him. "Hey, I like that." He smiled at her. "I like you." And there, under the same sky that had watched them both grow up apart, father and daughter looked ahead, not to the past they'd lost, but to the future they were building. Together.